The Mobile World Congress, the world's biggest mobile tech show, is back in Spain. This year's show is all about AI, 5G, and 6G. North Korea kicks off a key meeting on agriculture as the country grapples with a food crisis. BTS member J-Hope is to become the second member of the group to serve mandatory military service after canceling his delay request. Good afternoon. The world's largest trade show for the mobile industry is back in Barcelona, Spain. The MWC, one of the major tech shows along with the CES and IFA, presents the latest innovations in mobile communications. And this year's we're all about AI, 5G, and 6G. Our Lee tells us more.
The biggest mobile and telecommunications trade show in Europe is back. The 2023 edition of the Mobile World Congress, hosted every year in Barcelona, kicks off on Monday. And the themes for this year's show: 5G, fintech, open net, cloud technology, digital everything. The goal of the MWC is to show the expansion of telecommunication technologies, which create opportunities in industries ranging from entertainment and manufacturing to smart mobility. More than 2,000 companies and institutions from around 200 countries are taking part, while over 80,000 visitors are expected. South Korean tech giant Samsung Electronics will have its latest products and services on display, including the Galaxy S23 series and Galaxy Book 3 Ultra. The company will also showcase its 5G network technology and a roadmap for the next generation 6G network. One of South Korea's biggest wireless telecommunications operators, SK Telecom, will introduce the company's developments in AI, urban air mobility or UAM, 6G, and the metaverse. Under the theme of AI, the wave of innovation, visitors to SK's booth can experience UAM and AI-based robots in person. The company's CEO will also likely give a speech about plans to boost their AI technology. Another South Korean mobile carrier, KT, is set to present its full-scale AI-related services at the event. This includes a solution to increase the efficiency of AI logistics center operations and a service that provides real-time optimized transportation routes using AI technology. The recent AI chat fad, ChatGPT, is also a key technology for visitors to look forward to. Microsoft's booth is expected to be packed with visitors trying to experience the generative AI-based software. Meanwhile, China's participation in the event is also guarding attention, as the country did not participate at CES 2023, which was held last month, largely due to the country's zero-COVID policy and growing competition in U.S.-China technology sectors. Beijing's biggest ICT companies, including Huawei and Xiaomi, are expected to showcase their latest mobile products at a large-scale exhibition. Lee Dae-hyun, Arirang News.
In other news, North Korea is holding a key plenary session on agriculture, presided over by its leader Kim Jong-un amid a food crisis. According to Pyongyang state media on Monday, the Central Committee of the Workers' Party of Korea kicked off a plenary meeting on Sunday focused on reviewing its rural development programs and addressing urgent tasks. No details are out on the agenda, but reports said plenary meeting will continue. Topping the agenda is likely to be increasing grain production amid worsening food shortages due to COVID-19 lockdowns, sanctions, and falling crop production. Plenary sessions are usually held just once or twice a year, but this session is North Korea's second in the space of just 2 months. Over the weekend, a U.S. strategic asset, the USS Springfield submarine, visited the country bearing Seoul and Washington's flags. This was their latest sign of warning and deterrence against the North amid increasing nuclear threats from the regime. Our Ocean looks into the allies' maritime cooperation moving forward.
A U.S. nuclear-powered submarine has made a symbolic visit to South Korea's southern port city of Busan, demonstrating the Allies' sea-based deterrence against North Korea's nuclear and missile threat. The 6,000-ton USS Springfield fast attack submarine arrived on Saturday on a scheduled visit, according to the U.S. Pacific Fleet. This comes as Seoul and Washington bolstered their joint measures to respond to potential strikes by the North, holding tabletop exercises in Washington, and a naval missile defense drill with Tokyo in the EC last week.
There's a great deal of force that can be applied from sea-based platforms. Of course they can. If you look at the cruise missiles that have been used by Russia against Ukraine, most of them have been fired from warships at sea.
North Korea, for one, has been developing a sea-based deterrent with submarines that can carry ballistic missiles.
To offset this capability, South Korea will need to continually improve its anti-submarine warfare capabilities. And given that the US and Japan both have formidable ASW forces, they can add and should assist in this respect.
As warfare technology continues to advance, it is crucial for the Allies to ramp up maritime cooperation to improve intel sharing and interception skills.
Within about 5 years, everything and everyone on the planet is going to be detectable by some means or another. So the ability to use the sea as a stealth environment is incredibly important. And that's everything from the seabed, you can use those for structures and sensors and things like that, but also submarine and semi-submersible platforms as well.
Amid concerns that Pyongyang is growing its capability to overwhelm ground-based missile defense systems, the North threatened last week to destroy the Allies' air bases.
The South Korean naval assets, on the other hand, are harder for North Korea to strike. It must first be able to detect these assets and then pinpoint and strike them, both of which are daunting tasks. This is particularly true for submarines like the KSS-3, which are incredibly difficult for North Korea to target, given North Korea's limited anti-submarine warfare capabilities.
The naval commanders of South Korea, US, and Japan last week held talks to discuss joint maritime exercises going forward. Seong, Arirang News.
Over in China, preparations are in full swing ahead of the official launching of President Xi Jinping's unprecedented third term in office. They'll be officialized in the upcoming plenary session, which will also feature a fresh lineup for key government officials. Lee Seung-jae has the details.
Members of the Chinese Communist Party's Central Committee, who were elected at the 20th Party Congress last October, came together on Sunday to begin a key meeting to carry out the agenda for a major reshuffle of the party and the government ahead of next month's 2 sessions. According to China's state-run Xinhua news agency on Sunday, the 3-day plenary session in Beijing began with President Xi Jinping presenting a work report. And the plenary session is garnering all the more attention this time, as China is expected to announce new leadership in the party, including a new premier who will take over the role long held by Li Keqiang, who's now retiring. Not to mention, aside from President Xi, most of the officials at the top are expected to be replaced. With the 2 sessions marking the official launch of President Xi's third term as China's leader, a lot of other changes are expected within the party and the government. This may also include a plan to launch what's being tentatively called the Home Affairs Committee to oversee police, counterintelligence, and immigration, an organization that some watchers are comparing to the former Soviet Union's KGB. Pundits predict major changes within the party and the government at this year's 2 sessions, but most importantly, President Xi is set to strengthen his grip on power. Lee Seung-jae, Arirang News.
The U.S. is sending a clear warning to China as it is closely watching Beijing's potential supply of lethal military aid to Russia for its war in Ukraine. Speaking to ABC and CNN on Sunday, White House National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan said Beijing has not made its final decision to supply weapons, but the plan has not been taken off the table. Sullivan, however, added that sending arms to Russia would be, quote, a real mistake and will result in real costs. The comments come as the U.S. and NATO have been accusing China of considering providing Russia with weapons like drones and ammunition. Beijing has dismissed the accusations. Soaring prices are also affecting South Korea's iconic liquor, soju. With prices now reaching their highest ever in restaurants, the South Korean government is calling for the industry's cooperation to limit price hikes. Lee Eun-jin has the details.
Soju has long been dubbed the alcoholic drink of the working class in Korea, where it's appreciated for its low price and accessibility. Having a significant part in local culture, this drink has become a daily necessity item alongside instant ramen noodles. But recent soju price hikes, driven by inflation, are adding to the burden for consumers, and the South Korean government has stepped up and launched an intensive probe into the whole industry. Since the financial crisis in 1998, annual inflation for alcoholic beverages has lingered below 2% most years, and in the few years where it reached the 4% range, consumers were left shocked. But a bottle of soju that commonly cost around 4,000 won in 2021 is now being sold for 6,000 won in many restaurants. Industry officials say the price of raw and subsidiary materials accounted for the price hike of nearly 6%, with the government pushing for cooperation by related industries to restrict price increases.
Soju prices reaching 6,000 won indicate severe psychological pressure on the working class.
Policies are important to stabilize prices, but cooperation between related industries is also needed.
The government has also launched a probe into the liquor industry to move against the average price of soju reaching 6,000 won at restaurants. The Ministry of Economy and Finance, the National Tax Service, as well as the Fair Trade Commission have already begun a series of meetings with industry officials to check whether the price hike is justified. According to government officials, the price of soju needs to be controlled, as it is more than just a bottle of alcohol, but is a product that is deeply embedded in the culture of daily life in South Korea. According to data, the average South Korean adult consumed 52.9 bottles of soju in 2022. 이은진, Arirang News.
The online food delivery market in South Korea stagnated last year on the back of the eased COVID-19 restrictions. According to Statistics Korea on Monday, online food delivery transactions in 2022 rose only 1.4% from the year before to around $19.8 billion. As for monthly figures, transactions saw an on-month decline from July through to December. The meager growth in online transactions was mostly attributed to the removal of COVID-19 social distancing measures in April last year, as well as higher delivery fees. Hundreds of thousands of people in South Korea struggle to fall asleep at night. But the domestic sleep tech market is offering new solutions to insomnia with the new digital therapeutics and smart mattresses, among others. Our Lee Soo-jin has more.
Insomnia, a common type of sleep disorder, is giving people across the globe sleepless nights. But it has also become a burgeoning business. In Korea, the number of people suffering from insomnia has been on an upward trend for the past 4 years, with more than 680,000 people seeking treatment in 2021. The global market for insomnia treatments was worth more than $5 billion in 2022 and is slated to top $6 billion by 2028. As the market continues to grow, the sleep tech industry has seen the release of many promising products.
One of those sleep tech products is this smart mattress. It uses new materials and shifts to fit your body as you move in your sleep.
One domestic home appliance company jumped into the sleep tech industry with the release of smart mattresses late last year.
We have replaced the springs in our mattresses with the more advanced sleep style technology. With sleep style technology, the hardness of the mattress can be adjusted to the user.
Sleep tech devices are not the only area of the insomnia market that is advancing. South Korea's Ministry of Food and Drug Safety on the 15th gave its first domestic marketing approval for the digital therapeutic app SOMS for insomnia treatment.
This is the first time that a digital therapeutics device developed by a Korean company has received a domestic marketing license, thereby providing insomnia patients with a new treatment method.
The SOMS app treats sleep disorders by giving real-time feedback on sleep habits over 6 to 9 weeks.
Patients fill out sleep journals every day. The sleep efficiency index is then calculated based on these entries. The journal entries also help patients keep track of how they slept at night. This helps patients take the first step in curing insomnia, realizing what their sleeping habits are and how much their sleeping disorder has progressed.
There are still several hurdles to overcome for domestic digital therapeutics, as they are not yet included in the state health insurance system. The future of the domestic insomnia market remains bright, though, as cutting-edge sleep tech products and digital therapeutics continue to emerge. 이수진, Arirang News.
BTS member J-Hope has canceled his request to delay his military enlistment and is set to begin his mandatory military service. According to his agency Big Hit Music on Sunday, an announcement will be made as soon as the notice of enlistment is available, although a specific time frame for enlistment was not given. The latest announcement comes as fellow BTS member Jin began his military service 2 months earlier. In the meantime, his agency also announced Monday that J-Hope is set to unveil a solo album on the street this Friday. Black and white images of Korean independent activists have been restored to color and are set for public display in Central Seoul to mark Independence Movement Day on March 1st. The Ministry of Patriots and Veterans Affairs said on Monday that images of 14 prominent independence activists, including An Jung-geun, Kim Gu, and Yoon Bong-gil, have been restored using AI and face restoration technology. The images will be shown on the screen held outside the National Museum of Korean Contemporary History in Gwanghwamun Square. The ministry aims to promote their spirit and contribution in liberating Korea from Japan. The display will last until April 11th. Since the start of Russia's invasion of Ukraine, some Ukrainian artists have been spreading the message of hope across the world through their performances. Our Song Yoo-jin talked with some of them here in South Korea.
At a concert hall in the South Korean city of Bucheon, conductor Yuri Yanko is busy with rehearsals. The director and chief conductor of Kharkiv Philharmonic is one of the most renowned and decorated musicians of Ukraine. In the past year, his hometown Kharkiv suffered from numerous shellings and bombings from Russia. Though painful, Yanko decided to use his art to defend the honor and glory of his country. On the first anniversary of Russia's war against Ukraine, he performed in front of a Korean audience with the Bucheon Philharmonic Orchestra.
With this concert, I want to remind people again about Ukraine, about its heroic struggle against the aggressor. Tell the world about the problems, say thank you, and ask for help for my country.
Yanko is one of the many Ukrainian artists who are spreading messages of hope amid the war. Pianist Anna Fedorova has been organizing dozens of benefit concerts for her home country over the past year.
Standing there on stage and to feel this energy from the audience, energy of support and solidarity, and like it was 2,000 people were coming as one, and it was very powerful. And at the same time, of course, the reason was so sad and so terrible.
Even children like the Color Music Children's Choir have been trying to support their country. The children's choir based in Dnipro, Ukraine rose to stardom after their cover of British band Coldplay's song went viral online. Because of the war, they had to practice at times in subway stations and rehearsed online for safety. But their determination did not stop them from reuniting and holding charity concerts in Germany and Sweden last year.
Everyone needs to understand that war is horrible and not a single child in this world should ever go through this. War should never be an option. With the support of the world, the day of victory for Ukraine will come.
Though these artists are performing far apart, they share one thing in common. They'll continue to perform, trying to help heal the scars of war and show the world that Ukraine still stands strong. Song Yoo-jin, Arirang News.
Let's take a look at what's going on in the world now. In Italy, dozens of migrants have died after a boat sank off the country's coast. At least 59 people died after a boat believed to be carrying some 150 migrants crashed into rocks near the coastal town of Crotone in southwest Italy on Sunday morning local time. 12 children are among the dead, and the death toll is expected to rise as several passengers remain missing. Around 80 people have been rescued so far, including one who has been arrested on charges of migrant trafficking. The vessel is said to have left Turkey around 3 days ago. The passengers included refugees from Pakistan, Iran, Somalia, and Afghanistan, many of whom were fleeing conflict and poverty. The tragedy comes as Italy's government is looking to stem the inflow of migrants and close illegal immigration routes. Moving on to Nigeria now, where vote counting for the country's presidential and parliamentary election is underway. The elections are the tightest in the history of Africa's most populous nation, as 3 of the 18 presidential candidates have a good chance of winning. The elections started Saturday local time, with some polling stations closing later than planned on Sunday. This because of delays caused by isolated cases of violence by armed groups and technical issues. Although some states have announced preliminary results, the process is expected to take several days. Nigeria's new leader will face a slew of issues, including cash shortages, high living costs, and attacks by groups known locally as bandits, responsible for killings and kidnappings, usually for ransom. Meanwhile, in Israel, around 160,000 people protested in the capital of Tel Aviv on Saturday in opposition to the Supreme Court override bill. Joined by smaller demonstrations nationwide, protesters are angry at Israel's far-right government's attempts to implement judicial reform, which would allow it to overrule Supreme Court decisions with a simple majority in parliament. The proposed reform would also allow the government to nominate judges and removes the court's ability to determine government appointments unreasonable. Both clauses passed the early stages of the process last Wednesday and need to pass 2 more parliamentary votes in order to become law. The protest marks the 8th week that people have gathered in increasing numbers to protest against the reform. And finally, Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese has become the country's first sitting leader to march at Sydney's Gay and Lesbian Mardi Gras parade. Joining tens of thousands of revelers and hundreds of floats on Saturday local time, the PM called the festivities a celebration of modern Australia. This is not the first time that Albanese has been at the parade, as he first attended the event in 1983. Marking its 45th iteration, this year the parade returned to its home in Oxford Street after COVID-19 induced restrictions saw it temporarily relocated. The parade also coincided with Sydney World Pride 2023, an international event promoting LGBTQ issues and running until March 5th. Matthew Ashley, Arirang News.
Good afternoon. Fire concerns look to prevail for a while with reports of wildfires in Korea. Dryness in the air is getting worse and there's no significant rainfall in sight to ease the conditions. So please be extra careful with anything that could start a blaze. After a chilly start, temperatures are rising fast to reach double-digit figures in most parts of the country. But also do notice wide temperature swings and do dress accordingly. I know decisions over what to wear are quite confusing this time of year. And it's that unwelcomed guest again find us levels look to be high in western parts of the country, but the rest of the country is having decent air quality under bright skies. Afternoon temperatures are also a couple of degrees higher than seasonal norms today, so it's an ideal weather to spend some time outdoors this afternoon. And we can feel that spring is coming this week with wide temperature gaps and a light mix of rain and snow in the forecast on Wednesday, which is Independence Movement Day here in Korea. With that in mind, here's a look at the weather conditions around the globe.
Thank you so much for watching. Have a great rest of the day.